Welcome to Innerji, Tarot Tea Astrology and all things metaphysical. Hi, I'm Leslie, the Metaphysical Crone, and today we're going to take a look at the new moon in Libra in terms of using some crystals and oils that might support you with your rituals, your contemplation during this time. So we have the new moon in Libra. And as I've spoken about before, new moons are about those times when we can look at new beginnings, set new intentions, start something new, getting ready to manifest and bring something new into our lives. The new moon in Libra is about finding balance within ourselves, within the polarities that are within us all, between the male and female parts of who we are, those polarities, positive versus negative, shadow versus light. So at this new moon, we can have a look at where we might be imbalanced within ourselves and look at how we might want to or need to rebalance on many different levels, whether it be mind, emotions, body or spirit. It's also about looking at relationships between ourselves and others, particularly our significant others. So it's about how much we give to others and how much we give to ourselves. It's also about looking at the balance between the inner and the outer. What is it that we do with our inner lives? The moon is about our inner world, the inner you, our emotions, how we emotionally react to the world. So the inner you, how do you balance the inner you with the person that you are on the outside? It doesn't mean that we're being deceptive or not being truly who we are in the outer world, but there are always parts of our own being that we keep more private. And so setting new intentions for this new moon is looking at all of these areas of where we might feel out of balance and perhaps what we can do to rebalance. Let's have a look at some crystals that may be of support. So for the moon, this new moon, I've chosen a black moonstone. It's not completely black, as you can see. This is a beautiful palm stone. And because we physically can't see the moon in the sky, I really like using black moonstone at new moons or when the moon is completely void. So a lovely crystal to support you at this new moon time. However, if you don't have black moonstone or that doesn't appeal to you, another wonderful stone that I've spoken about before is selenite. This is a carved selenite. Just beautiful. So you can use those to represent the moon in any meditations that you do or any rituals that you do. Selenite is a very high vibrational stone, so it is great for connecting to that which is beyond you, connecting to the divine, the source, whatever you want to call it. And of course, moonstone for connecting to the moon herself. Now, what other stones can we use to help us with rebalance? So what I've done today is I've chosen fluorite. So I've looked at rebalancing ourselves in the way we think, in our ideas, in our attitudes. So fluorite is a wonderful crystal for bringing in order and logic and clear thinking. And this is a beautiful piece of fluorite. So this is a wonderful crystal to use when you're feeling confused, when you feel you can't think clearly, and also when you want to get your thoughts in order, in ready to start new things, in ready to start manifesting for this new moon. We also then have rose quartz. This is a beautiful hand-carved rose quartz wand with an angel on top. The reason I've chosen rose quartz, it's great for self-love as well as love of others, but it's also a soft, nurturing stone, which I feel is really helpful in rebalancing the emotions and being gentle with ourselves. So if your intention for this new moon is to rebalance yourself emotionally, rose quartz is great. And of course, fluorite, if you want to get that balance within your thoughts, your ideas. The other stone I've chosen is for well-being, for general physical well-being, and that's green aventurine. And this is a raw, unpolished version of it. I really like this raw version. So again, this is a great all-rounder for healing in the physical level. So this covers finding a rebalance of energies within our physical body.
And the final stone that I've chosen is Celestite. This is to find balance within our spiritual connections. So Celestite, a beautiful, soft, clear stone. So this is wonderful for improving our intuition, for improving our psychic abilities. And I also feel it's a really important stone, not only to make the connection, but to make that connection in a way that is gentle and that we can work with in a balanced way. So this is an example of a grid that I've created for the new moon in Libra. And I've created a grid that gives me balance of polarities. So we have above and below, and then we have from side to side. So I have the black moonstone as the connection to the moon at the top, and then bringing in the white light of selenite. We then have that spiritual connection with the celestite. We have the logic of the mind, the ideas, the thinking processes, the mental energy, and we have the heart energy with the rose quartz. And then we ground it down to aventurine, bringing it down, manifesting it into physical being. So the way the energy flows for this is I would bring down from the moon to the selenite. I would bring in our thinking processes and ground them. I would then come back up to the moon and bring down the moon's energy, the white light, our spiritual connection coming into the heart. I would then go back to the moon and draw down the energy of the moon, the white light, spiritual connection, and ground it through into the aventurine. And that is how I would create my grid. And then at the time of the new moon in Libra, I would meditate upon this grid. I would sit and do some gazing meditation on this grid and consider what it is that I want to bring into balance in my life. What I would like that to feel like. What would my thoughts be like? What would my spiritual connection be like? And how would I ground that into my body? How would I manifest that within my body and within my physical world? So I would do that as I took some slow, deep breaths, just breathing in and out through the nose, very slowly and very deeply, really tuning into the energy of these crystals. And once you've done that, we can now look at using our essential oils for this new moon in Libra and how we can blend them together and use them. Now what I've done, I've taken my crystal grid that I had previously made and I've now configured it around my essential oils with my intention of drawing the energy of the crystals that we have used into the essential oil blend as we create it. So the oils that I've chosen today are lemon. I've chosen lemon to represent the moon energy because lemon is a wonderful oil to represent moon energy. It's also a wonderful oil mentally for focus, concentration. So that is why I've included that as my first oil. So let's put a few drops of that into my mixing bowl, my amethyst mixing bowl. So I've put 5 drops of lemon oil in. It's a top note. So I've put a little bit more in because it will evaporate more quickly than the other oils. The other oil I've chosen is geranium. Geranium is great for balancing on all levels, but in particular balancing the emotions. So part of what we're looking at with this new moon in Libra is balancing our emotions. So because this is a middle note, I'm only going to add just a couple of drops, and it does have quite a strong aroma as well. So I don't want to use too much of it. The other oil I've chosen is peppermint. Peppermint is a stimulating oil, so it's going to stimulate our actions, our intentions, and so this is a wonderful oil to include. It's also a top note coming down to a middle note, so I'm just going to put 3 drops of peppermint in. And then the final oil I'm going to use is Clary Sage. So Clary Sage is a little bit of a more earthy oil. It's a middle to base note oil and it is great for bringing in more clarity. But what I like about the Clary Sage is that it brings in clarity in a grounded way. It helps us to manifest what we think, our intention, into the physical. So we're just going to put 2 drops of Clary Sage. Oops, I think 3 went in there, so 3 it is. And then I'm just going to mix the blend
with my intention spoon and just see how that is when we smell the oils together. And they have blended really well. I'm getting a little bit of the peppermint first. I'm not getting much lemon, so I'm going to add another 2 drops of the lemon oil just to bring a little bit more of that moon energy in and a little bit more of focus and concentration. So that was in the 3 drops that I put in there. And let's mix that in and just see what that does for the blend. So blending of aromatherapy is both an art and a science. You need to understand what the oils are for, their components, and the art is then using your intuition when it comes to some of the blending, and that gives me a much better blend. It's a more even blend. So how can we use this blend for this new moon in Libra? You can place a drop on a tissue and inhale it. You can place 6 to 8 drops in an oil diffuser or oil burner and allow it to diffuse through your area, particularly if you're sitting in meditation at the full moon or you're doing a ritual. You can have that as part of your ambience, part of your magical energy that you would like to use within your sacred space. Another way that you can use this oil is to dilute it in a carrier oil, such as cold pressed sweet almond oil. So if you were using 15 mils, I wouldn't put more than about 15 drops in with that of the complete blend. Shake it, and then you can apply it to pulse points before you meditate and set the intention. So how can we bring all this together into a little ritual for you for the new moon in Libra? I would start off by cleansing my space. So I can do that by using a sage, a smudge stick, and cleanse the space that I'm going to be using. And once I've done that, I would then write down what it is that I want to do with this new moon in Libra, what balances I want to bring into my life, what is it that I want to manifest. I would write that down. Then I would create my crystal grid and have that set up. And then I would charge my crystal grid by connecting the crystals as I showed you earlier, bringing the moon down through the selenite white light, celestite spiritual connection, over to the mental, to the thoughts, the ideas that we want to set our intentions with. And then I would go back to the moon. I would come down through the white light, the celestite, the spiritual connection, and come over to the rose quartz for my emotional balance in setting my intentions. And then I would come back to the moon, come down through the selenite white light, the celestite spiritual connection, down to aventurine for manifesting, grounding it, and bringing it into reality in the earth. Then, once my grid was set up, I would apply my essential oils to my oil burner or on my pulse points, as just mentioned. And as I was applying them, I would be setting the intention that I would be inhaling the energy of these oils as part of my new moon in Libra ritual of setting intentions for new beginnings, for new balance, rebalance, manifestation. With all of this set up, I would light a candle, just a simple white candle to represent the moon, and I would gaze at the candle as I looked at my intention that I had written down and read it aloud to myself. And as I did that, I would be aware of the energy of the crystal grid coming towards me. I would be aware of inhaling the essential oils as I think about this new moon in Libra intention that I want to create as a new beginning, a new balance. And then once that was done, I would just sit quietly and meditate upon that intention. And when I felt it was done, I would take a deep breath in and let it go. Offer my thanks to the moon energy, the moon goddess. Release the energy of my grid, or I can leave it up, and that would complete my ritual. I do hope this new moon in Libra ritual using crystals and essential oils has been helpful to you.